Petros could then make his own decision as to whether or not he's going to recruit me, but the recommendation to even be interviewed under Petros, that is what is lacking. This person is hoarding me. From what the Lord has opened my eyes up to see, there has been an Eben-like situation where it is that somebody has rather sung the right praises where I am concerned. And do you understand what I'm saying? Somebody has spoken what needs to be spoken where I am concerned. And now, the people who interviewed me, the thing is, this woman has the veto power, right, over their decision. So they could say, no, we don't want her because she's too skilled. But she's got the veto power to be like, I want her anyway. She's got veto power. But she is struggling to exercise that veto power because her people that interviewed me have told her it's a travesty. She is too skilled. You can take her there. And she now is then going to basically look really crazy evil if she says, no, I still want her as an administrator. Basically, it's like, but you're taking an opportunity away from a woman that's been unemployed for a decade. You claim to have compassion for her, and the fact that her CV is yawning for 10 years, right? Would you not then be happy if at all she got umsebenzi that is closer to what she is skilled for than not? So if she says, no, I still want her as an administrator, it's basically going to expose her malice to these people that are like, but Petros has an opening in his team. If at all she insists on hiring me in this job, she can veto it. She has the ability to just say, I want her here, right? Her staff are going to start looking at her differently. They're going to be like, yo, that's what's good. She insisted, even though we recommended that she rather see if Karabo cannot be interviewed in that other department. She's on a rock and a hard place. She is in between worlds, all torn. She is conflicted in the worst way. Not because she doesn't trust me. Not because she doesn't trust me. But because the agenda the rest of my family are on. Control. It's all about controlling Ikamba Lika Karabo. We've got to silence her and her ministry. We need to basically guard. We don't want her to die. So we gotta protect her from all the evils that are facing her, but we gotta control the outcomes of her life. That is the kind of stuff that God would always put a dead break on. Let me go charge my phone. Yeah, so I charged my phone, and every time after charging my phone, I lose my bearings. But let me just recalculate. Yes, I spoke about how it is that this individual was counseled by her staff members that she made interview me. Yeah, she was counseled by them that she's too skilled, and now she's caught in between a rock and a hard place because she does not want me in a particular position, but her staff have made it clear that, look, you've got the veto power. She's yours if you want her, but she can be in a better position. And given that she wants to be viewed as a good, sober woman, if at all she insists on making me her administrator when some other thing popped up open, wide yawning for me to do that was better, she's not gonna look good. Like I said, she's in a rock and a hard place. So that's why there's like a whole severity of ghosting where I am concerned. Now, she can make a decision to just absolutely have nothing to do with me. But if at all she is going to bring me into her space, because I'm gonna have to take it, because I'm being pressurized. I'm being told, Uguti, if you don't take it, stuff is going to work out for you in life, in this environment type establishment thing. Yeah, she is going to have to basically deal with her colleagues looking at her like, this chick could have totally worked somewhere else. She could have gotten a better job. She could have been interviewed by Petros, but you're the one that insisted that she works in this particular capacity. So she now has to either let me go, fly like a bird out there, soar, leave me alone to do what I want to do, because I don't want to work that silly job, or essentially hand my CV over to Petros. That's what she's facing at this present juncture. Now, herein lies the deal, okay? I do not want to work in an environment where it is that there is somebody holding a severity of hostilities against me, and they are more senior than me, and can therefore naysay or have some kind of voice in the ears of those that are above me, my seniors. I worked at Gijima once, and there was this chick that lied to our boss about me. I was an intern under her, I was training under her, and she lied through her teeth. I already explained that story, right, in one of my other videos. And I was told about this incendiary activity that she was engaged in that literally almost toppled my career underfoot, by colleagues that worked with her, that liked me, that basically told on her. Okay, she imagined that they would favor her cause and they would take up her side, but then they decided to stand with me because I was the one here in the equation that was innocent. What I'm trying to explain is that there are always people that are going to do a lot better by you, that God will place in positions to make sure that those who are trying to sabotage you don't succeed, okay? But at the same time, it's just not healthy to be in that space. At the same time, it's not healthy to be in an environment where somebody has basically been forced to do better by you. You don't want to be somewhere where someone has been forced to do better by you. I frankly could not understand how in the world under heaven this family member was able to take in her stride the fact that I was forced to accept her offer, because that would have just made things awkward. I'm the one, however, that made things easier, in the sense that I calmed down, I forgave. I am the one that made this look better than what under heaven it is that it was. And so she would have been able to be my boss or whatever without there being any qualms, because I'm the one that would have made it better, okay? But in an environment where you are not even trying to do any differently, and somebody kind of shoves a person down your throat, yeah, that's just going to create hostilities. And again, because my family members are in the business of surveilling me, monitoring me, hooking up all different kinds of paraphernalia of a looky nature on me, I see that I'm never going to be able to freely soar, fly like a bird in any environment where they're at. My YouTube channel is available for anyone at all to see me, okay? If people happen upon it, then great. But YouTube presently is blocking, freezing, doing whatever it can on me, putting icicles around my general ecosystem, making sure that nobody sees me. So presently, only subscribers can see my content. Meaning that anywhere where I work, no colleague of mine would ever happen upon my content unless they're an existing subscriber and by happenstance I just so fortuitously happen to be in the same environment that they're at. Like, yeah, properly working for a company, and then next thing, booyah, da-na-na-na, one of the employees with which I work just so happens to be a subscriber on YouTube. Unless that exorbitantly fortuitous event occurs, nobody would ever know of my channel with the kind of blockages of my person by social media that I am in. No one is going to happen upon my content. Even if they search for me, they're not going to find me, because they would have to search the exact name of the channel, and they would also have to search the exact name of my videos in order to find them, because that's how severely shadow banned I am by YouTube. They have only given my subscribers access to my new uploads. Or if somebody shares my content and somebody that I work with happens upon it and is like, hey, this chick works for my company now, okay? That's the only way that anybody that I work in the same company as would ever see my content, or if there are people that have already up to this date been surveilling me. Now, my family members are presently surveilling me on social media. They're listening to what I have to say, to a point even sometimes of embarrassingly highlighting it to me that they don't like what I said. I better just shut up already. I am being bullied, I'm being harassed, and I've got my whole civil rights being completely desecrated, ignored, and with people acting as if though that's not even a whole entire constitutional infringement on my person. Okay? No respect, even in the slightest. I am not being respected, and it hurts, it sucks. It's been something I've been lamenting against literally for a minute, and I won't stop lamenting until it stops being a thing. But my way to deal, my way to handle is through this work that I do. So frankly, I cannot keep on putting the salve on my open wounds if I'm going to be okay. Like, I comfort myself with all the sickness and the madness of the world by coming here to talk. It's like my therapist chair. I am my own strength through Christ Jesus. I am comforted. Do you understand? This year cannot stop because of the fact that I'm constantly beleaguered. There's always just this barrage of insults around me, so I need to self-therapy. Yeah, when then you take that away from me and you put me in some dead-end job, you are literally asking for me to be this melancholic, miserable, middle-aged woman who has lost it all, and it appears Christ did not have my back. I'm not prepared to be all that morose when I don't have to be, okay? So to take away my ministries, to take away the avenue of escape out of a world full of chaos that does not like disciples. You cannot take that away from me. Not only that, it's just wrong, according to God too, because we are supposed to make disciples of all nations. So I'm not about to go and deny Jesus Christ, but I don't want to be in an environment where somebody knows my YouTube channel that's been surveilling me all this time, that's been a naysayer. My family members all have access to my YouTube channel, they're privy to it. They have my links through Facebook, etc. And the only way that they would essentially be blind of what in Under Heaven is that I'm saying is if I stopped uploading on my main channel. And I said the other day that I'm not going to do that because at the end of the day, I burden for their souls. And I'm still rooting for them. And nobody else is out here trying to snatch them out properly from the flames of hell because they're sitting in unrighteous churches. They're sitting in seeker-sensitive churches, if at all, listening to health, wealth, and prosperity gospels, and are not in environments that are convicting them of the sins they're committing. And I'm the only source of such explanation as that. I am the only source of a true rod on their back, true discipline, and the only true sound voice of reason because they are gathering for themselves actively numbers of teachers to teach them what the itching ears want to hear. When they are recommending what book to read or who to listen to, they be out here telling me about Sarah Jakes Roberts. Do you understand? T.D. Jake's daughter. Like, they would never write out a Tim Conway or a Paul Washer sermon. So I'm all they have. That's why I keep coming. Because they need a Tim Conway coming through me. They need somebody that is speaking the truth. They hate the words of life, but they stand to be healed by them. And if I suffer them long, I stand to basically snatch my family members out from the flames. So it's the only reason why I keep on rocking up in my channels. Because like I said, I am their only Paul Washer. I am the only Tim Conway. I am the only sound disciple that is not out here punting health, wealth, prosperity, and get away with murder because you've said the sinner's prayer. I'm the only person not doing that in their lives. So I come to this channel, but I don't want people being directed to my ministry from a vantage point of hating it. If at all a colleague of mine were to happen upon my ministry, let it be because, I don't know, one day, happily, lovely, YouTube lets me go and stops shadow banning me so severely, and then as they are perusing the streets of YouTube, they click on a video that, oh, that's my colleague. I don't mind a colleague finding me that way. Okay, I also don't mind a colleague being recommended my content by someone that is actually rooting for me. On some, hey, listen to Karabo, she's got a ministry, it's so inspirational. And then I have a colleague out here clicking on it on some, oh, our colleague is on YouTube. I really don't mind. Like, when I was at MTN, people could search my name on the internet and find my blog and read my content, and many of them did. I explained that there were some people who were privy to my blog and I was content with it. I didn't care. I didn't mind. And some of them even went so far as to, let me know that they know that I write and talk about what it is that I wrote in my ministry. I don't mind. I really don't mind, because the more the merrier. If I can reach people for Christ, great. And also if I can discover that there are people who love Jesus that I was not aware loved Jesus, and they're in my collegial space, we can fellowship at work. Hallelujah. I don't mind. I'm not out here doing taboo things, speaking taboos. Okay, fine. So maybe I might be ever so slightly taboo, but the things I'm speaking are words of life. And we live in a country that is teeming at the folds with all different kinds of nasty stuff going on. Witchcraft is like running rampant, and South Africans need to hear. So if people can be edified by my work, great. And if these people just so happen to be colleagues, even better. Again, I don't mind colleagues finding my content. It's highly unlikely, however, that they ever would because of what's going on right now with this shadow banning situation. But if at all my colleagues were to happen upon my content, they have to happen upon it by themselves, just perusing internet. Or it has to be recommended to them by someone that is not out here pushing nasty ideologies about my name. My family don't have good stuff to say about my ministry. They don't like my calling in Christ, even though it's my calling in Christ. You can't change it. They would much rather thwart the calling of Joseph. As Joseph's brothers, they are literally trying to prevent fulfilled prophecy that has been sent to Joseph's understanding by God himself. They are actively trying to stand in the middle of God's called servants' calling. They don't like the fact that God called me for this, for reasons I've already highlighted, so I will not labor on them at length anymore. So therefore, if at all, any of my family members, I work in the same environment as them, there is always going to be a risk, given that this one has shown herself now to not be that sincere where I am concerned. There's always a risk of them basically leading people to a video of mine with misguided context, saying, look at what she's doing. I'm dealing with ridiculous saboteurs. I'm dealing with somebody that is trying to cause me to stop with my ministry. I have been yelled at for uploading the fact that I got a new job in the first place. That's problematic in and of itself, okay? I am still in the dark as to who among my family members alerted my mom to me uploading my video of me getting a job on social media. I don't know who it is. I am only speculating as to who it is. It could be this family member that helped me get the job, or it could be some other family member, but bottom line is my family members aren't necessarily chuffed with my ministry. They are not happy with the call of God on my life, especially considering they were among the first people that I called out for betrayal. Do you understand? So, therefore, I don't want somebody that is a naysayer telling a colleague, watch this video of Karabo, giving the kind of context that would be along the lines of, she's accusing the whole planet of witchcraft, and on top of that, I don't know who she thinks she is. She thinks she's called. When then you've got colleagues looking at you like you're some crazy person speaking like random strange smack on the internet, and they don't peruse your content from a vantage point where they're coming with neutrality, but there's a bias in them. They're already skewed towards a particular goal. They will be inclined towards taking the side of whoever is this random malicious, sower of bad words, this Discord person. I do not want to get harassed. I've already endured severity of persecution, guys, and it's bad. When I was at MTN, when people happened upon my blog, they were coming into it from a vantage point where I was their colleague and that's it. Oh, it just so happens that Karabo writes. And, okay, pleasant surprise. Karabo the Christian. That's how it was. And then when everybody was gossiping me, speaking smack about me because they were trumping up charges against my person, that's when what was in my blog became taboo. So I am thoroughly aware that based on what vantage point a person is approaching your content, they can either persecute you for it or be pleasantly surprised by it. My content stands to make people pleasantly surprised insofar as people are rocking up there with a neutral ear. And there are no skews or biases. But if it gets recommended by somebody who has a skew and a bias, I am done for. And now I cannot be having some rumor mill random, sudden or overnight change in treatment of my person by colleagues because they all now are reading either my blog or they are watching my YouTube channel. Like, if they're going to be watching my YouTube channel, let them come to me and say, I see you are covering Christianity. I didn't know you did YouTube, sister influencer. I would rather they come to me talking to me about my blog that way or my YouTube that way, rather than them look at me bang seba in corners on some next thing Papa, if people don't recommend your content or if they don't happen upon it from a neutral point, they will persecute you. They will persecute you. And I don't want any such thing happening to me. Okay, so because I don't want any such thing happening to me, granted that I am aware that this cousin of mine is in a rock and a hard place with placing me in a job, alright? Because she's been recommended to our colleagues that this job that she wants to give me is inappropriate for my skills level. I want to basically take her out of her misery of making this decision. I want to expedite her decision by basically not putting her in a position to not even have to make it. Okay, I'm never gonna stop doing YouTube. And she will ever be somebody in my company, in my presence, right, with whom I am working, maybe even under whom, if at all she decides to recommend me to this other colleague, I might even be working for a different department, but it will always be somebody that knows of my blog, knows what I am uploading, and could very potentially tell somebody, click on this, check this out, and see what she's saying. And then get me harassed for stuff that I just did not. I don't want to get persecuted again. I don't care or mind if colleagues happen upon my content. But it matters from what vantage point they happen upon it. The source of recommendation is important. If it is evil, and if it is shrouded with a bias that is against me, I am not going to be good. I am not going to have an MTN Volume 2.0 happen to me again. Do you understand? I don't care if people watch my videos. They should. It is inspirational, edifying, and enabling for people to know Jesus. But they have to make their own decision as to whether or not they like me. They cannot be helped along to decide if they like me. And if at all they don't like me, if they're coming from a neutral vantage point, they cannot persecute me over something they found of me online if at all it is not damning to what's going on in the organization. If I am not actively speaking out against the company or colleagues or anything of that nature, they cannot, based on their displeasure with what I'm saying in my ministry, then come and persecute me at work. If I'm speaking about witchcraft, in my ministry, for instance, speaking against it and how it is that it's an epidemic in the country and people need to overcome it from a vantage point where I am sharing my faith as a Christian and how it is that we deal with sorcery from that vantage point. A colleague who is a witch literally does not have any right to recourse against me in the organization for calling them out for sorcery, seeing as I'm not speaking about them being a witch. I am speaking about how witchcraft is a problem in the country. If they feel offended, it's because people are offended by the message of God, of peace. People are offended by the gospel, but they cannot come at me. Constitutionally, I have a right to indeed speak of my faith in a way, of course, that is within, within the limitations that you have under the Bill of Rights, okay? Insofar as it is not the incitement of violence or hate speech or whatever, and insofar as, like I said, I'm not speaking about any of y'all guys in this office building, and I'm not speaking about the company. I am just speaking about my experiences as a Christian very generically and ubiquitously. You should not be coming at me with a ton of bricks. No one should be coming at me like a ton of bricks. So granted, the slant that I will have of neutrality in addressing very important haughty matters. If anybody that is neutral does happen upon my content and does not like it, on that day, they should just keep it to themselves. Maybe even gossip me in the office on some she's got a blog. And but really and truly, it's divorced from what's going on in the company. So if you're going to be petty and gossip, be petty and gossip, but you don't get to get me fired over it. And you also don't get to persecute me on the job concerning it. People will always have something to pick with you. They will always have qualms to have with you, right? And you can't win them all. Frankly, there will always be that one person that just does not gel with you for no other reason than the fact that they don't gel with you. But when you have got protections under the law of your nation as a citizen, they cannot just come at you with it. People will be petty over whatever it is that they're petty over. But protecting yourself from that pettiness is in basically staying within your lanes, keeping within your demarcations, and trusting that they in and of themselves will also stay within their demarcations. If I am disliked for my Christianity, it's okay. Not everybody's going to like me. The world hates disciples, but you don't get to persecute me on the job with it. I cannot have, therefore, somebody that can create a skewed version and also one that has got history about me concerning my ministry. I can't work in an environment where there is a family member or a former friend or anybody that frankly has access to my history, because they will skew the narrative and they will cause me this, like literally it will be MTN volume 2.0, the latter part. I'm not doing it. So with Christ having warned me about that impending projectile, he has then given me paths, straightened, opened, light, lamp to my feet, a way in which to walk, okay, in order that I might gain reprieve from this impending projectile, this thing that could come at me. I want to relieve my family member from the burden of having to give me or hand me over to potentially work a job that she does not want me working. I don't want anybody feeling like they've got any control over what happens with my life. Just the fact that anybody can think that my life is in their hands, I find that exorbitantly pompous. And for this individual to sit on a promise that I could potentially walk in with me working a better job and her deciding whether or not to do it, that I find exquisitely arrogant, coupled with the fact that she is, at the end of the day, somebody that has got a negative reception and view, therefore, of my ministry and a resentment of my call in Christ. I cannot, therefore, be in the same environment as them. I can't. I cannot work in the same company as this human being. Look, you know, people with somewhat of a messianic complex, a lot of times they do mean well, but if God has not set you apart to do something, you are not going to walk in the fullness of the scope of the thing that you must do. The conviction that God would have given a person that is fit for purpose and right and proper would be that it's a travesty to put Karabo in this position, and yet this person has not walked in the recognition of that travesty, or they've refused to embrace it to a point of being recommended to by colleagues that you can't put this person in this position. And Funugu forced this person in the same way that they forced me to take this job. I don't want to force her to recommend me to a better job. Bottom line is, what she did, the whole process that she commenced here, Romans 8:28, all things work out together for the good of them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. The thing she started has a purpose, and the purpose will indeed be fulfilled. It was there to boost me. It was a charge. I had imagined that I could never return to corporate South Africa because I was that done with it. All right. But given the level of harassment that I have endured at the hands of social media, and with me being refused, basically there are all these barriers to entry all over the show, saying of me that I'm not ever going to monetize a YouTube channel, ever monetize reels on Instagram or Facebook. The fact that TikTok refuses to let me ever make money on that platform, never mind just social media, but all other avenues online that I could embark on. I've tried the whole selling t-shirts thing. I have tried the whole writing a book on Amazon thing. I have tried taking all this advice, right? And literally the online space, there are barriers to entry. There are physical restrictions on my person, making sure that me as a natural person with, a natural person living in the person that I am, there are barriers to entry for me to work an entrepreneurial job using online streams of income. I literally cannot do that. And I don't have the money to do any other kind of startup that would require, startup capital. The only place where you can perhaps start a career with no initial capital is to use your creative talents on social media. That's all that I have right now. So whatever else that I could do that requires startup capital, I would have to raise that money. And there's no other place for me to raise it other than, for instance, in corporate South Africa. What I'm trying to explain is that while I had completely written corporate off, I realized through this whole situation that perhaps maybe that's what God was doing all this time. I told you guys that I got an email from God. Well, it wasn't an email from God, but I got a dream of an email from him where it was written, "It's time." I could not understand what that meant, but basically what was being communicated there was that it is time for me to ultimately break out of the grain of sorrow and suffering and want and lack. I thought that meant through social media. I thought that meant through me monetizing a YouTube channel finally, and maybe it does eventually. But long story short, what it does mean is that a door has been opened that no man can shut. I have not known what that door is. I have been trying to open multiple doors. I've tried to open Instagram's door, Facebook door, YouTube door. I have tried to open online streams of income door. I have tried to see what God was saying with its time. But when the Lord is doing something and it is you leaning on your own understanding, and so therefore you think the thing is doing is something else, he will always bring something on board to basically jolt you into understanding as to what he meant by its time. And I believe what the Lord was showing me was that it's time for you to finally put your CV out on the market again and see who is going to call you. Cast your bread upon many waters. Cast your bread upon the waters, and after many days it'll come back to you. I believe what the Lord was showing me was that I am the one that closed the door of you working in corporate South Africa a proper job, because I was said handing your enemies over to a strong delusion. Do you understand? But now I've opened a door that no one can shut. And so in spite of your gap in your CV, there will be people that will be happy to appropriately interview you for a job. Of course, I'm not going to start where it is that I would likely have been after 10 years, because I haven't gained those 10 years of experience. Frankly, this is loss of income. It's the kind of stuff that you would win a lawsuit over. But people will at least be willing to, at a minimum, acknowledge what I did as at the date of departure from corporate South Africa. Just like a mama leaving to go and raise her children for 10 years and then coming back to the corporate space. The opportunity she is awarded will likely be one that's aligned to her skills, instead of you just throwing her in the bucket of the call center again, throwing her in the bucket of some admin job again, in the bucket like if the woman has worked, if she's done certain time, it's just a matter of, shining the trophy, shining the pen, shining the pencil, shining the thing with which is workplace paraphernalia, and then her, from that point going forward, hitting the ground running. I do not know what God meant by its time, but one thing that is certain is that it is time. That email that I got with the "it's time" was perhaps like 4 months ago. And indeed, from around 4-5 months ago, my YouTube channel, all of a random Sunday, do you understand what I'm saying? I started to get subscribers with videos. I would upload shorts. I would gain subscribers. I just burgeoned. I started to grow after being frozen. But now strings have been pulled with YouTube to block me. I've had my advanced features taken away, and YouTube has restricted me to only dealing with subscribers. Facebook has also restricted me to only dealing with followers. Like the 1,000 followers I have on Facebook are the only ones that can see me. The 1,000 followers I have on Facebook are the only ones that can see me. The however many thousands of subscribers that I have on YouTube are the only ones that, y'all know how I'm shadow banned, right? So basically, I can grow, but YouTube is the one that closed me off. If at all, that streak of suddenly getting listened to when initially nobody wanted to listen to me, if that streak applied on YouTube, if it applied on Facebook, then that streak must necessarily also apply on Peanut. That streak must necessarily apply on Career Junction, on LinkedIn. What I'm trying to explain to you guys is that the same overnight growth of my shorts when I uploaded them, and I'm out here getting 200 new subscribers in a week, that must also necessarily mean that the very same recruitment agencies that have just been squinting their eyes and gliding right by my CV for years now won't anymore. That's what that "it's time" must mean. And this time around, unlike with YouTube, where it is that I was able to appear to be gaining monetization, and then I was suddenly blocked by YouTube, bottom line is, once a company has hired you, you're in. You're in. No matter how much colleagues might try to sabotage you, bottom line is you can hold on to your job for dear life. And I can get into a job, and even though colleagues might try to sabotage me, I will hold on to it for dear life. Just as I'm holding on right now to my little YouTube channel for dear life that has been frozen, I can hold on to a job that's giving me an appropriate salary with appropriate job satisfaction and appropriate usage of my skills for dear life, even if some sabotage is happening on the left and on the right of me. Bottom line is, I believe that God used my family member to show me that if you try to get into corporate, you will succeed. Because here it is that my family member tried to hook me up with a job that didn't make sense, and her colleagues were like, no, hook her up elsewhere. She's the one that's apprehensive and is being a barrier to entry, trying to block me from getting a job that is more appropriate inside her own company. But bottom line is the opportunity is available. So how do you get rid of that barrier to entry? If I am the one that physically sends out my CV myself, Petros will be the one to call me. The people who interview me will be the ones to recommend me to Petros instead of them leaning on a family member to say to Petros, will you look at Karabo's CV? I realized through my cousin's indiscretion that God was showing me, you don't have to work under any of your family members that are insisting that you go and you start in admin. Bottom line is I've opened the door and you have been trying to get into spaces that are not the ones that I was talking about when I said it's time. I want you to have stability, Karabo. I want you to have stability, dear daughter. I want you to basically be able to pay your way. YouTube requires you to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to monetize. But if you work for a company, you're going to get paid every single month if you've put in the time. I want you getting paid for the work that you put in. YouTube was able to thwart you from getting to a point where now you can make money from what you upload. Now, the equivalent of you recording a video every day, editing it and uploading it is going to get you rewarded with a salary. What you need is money. You need stability. So go and put in all your effort somewhere where you're going to be getting paid at the end of the day, and let YouTube be like what it has always been historically. Let social media and your blog and where you write, where you explore your creativity, let it be what it's always been all along, a hobby. The hobby of which will at some point become lucrative. It'll make you money. It'll become monetizable, but it is not going to be the only source of income. Essentially, what my cousin started, what little jolt of electricity that she administered into my body made me realize that I can apply for my own job. If at all she was happy to give me a shot out of all of the members of the family that have been walking around me for years, refusing to do anything right by me, it says that there are people who are willing to now all of a sudden consider me. I told you guys yesterday that I overheard a conversation on the phone where my mother was talking to somebody, and she spoke about how it is that she has a friend who has a son that worked for a marketing or a PR or an advertising firm where it is that they're literally feeding the staff drugs in order to keep them creative. And I was like, why in the world would South Africa be plunged into that? Why would it have to stoop so low? That's the thing. When you have drained the country of skills, and when you have massacred all the good people of the land to a point of obscurity, you will then, whatever it is that remains that is working in corporate South Africa, be forced to get them to be creative by feeding them drugs. Because the people who are truly creative are sitting at home in the backs of their mothers' houses, gathering dust in shacks. Now, at some point, a country spots that. At some point, a stubborn conglomerate notices when they have shot themselves in the foot, when there's been so much sabotage committed in corporate South Africa against the skills in the nation, to a point of causing either a skills exodus, so most South Africans are in the diaspora, or a lot of South Africans are in the diaspora, or causing perfectly skilled people to be gathering dust at home unable to work. Yeah, at some point, recruitment agents who have been working in the industry for however long, 10, 15, 20 years, will make an observation, because they are sober men and they are sober women. Do you understand? They will make an observation that the quality of the curriculum vitae that they are recommending to companies is becoming lax. Recruitment agents have been... I remember there was a story of a woman that lives down just a couple of houses in this complex, telling my mom. She was telling my mom that she was unemployed as at that stage for like a year and a couple of months, right? So like maybe like 15 months. This woman was unemployed for 15 months, right? And she was trying to get back into the workforce, and they called her rusted. They literally utilized that particular terminology. They said that she was rusted, like as an iron or something. Rusted. They called her rusted, you guys. And this woman had only been out of the workforce for 15 months. And I remember thinking, if you think that lady is rusted, what in the world do you think of me? And then my mom went on right ahead to explain the credentials of this woman, her qualifications and what she had done. And it's the kind of stuff that would make anybody saying that she is rusted abashed. She had worked so many years in the industry. She was in IT in particular. She had amassed for herself so many qualifications and had, like I said, so many years of experience behind her. And just because she had a 15-month gap on her CV, they called her rusted. Now, a recruitment agent that is out here going to pass shade and give attitude to a woman that has been unemployed for 15 months, calling her rusted. If at all, that recruitment agent insists on only forwarding the curriculum vitae of people that have no gaps in their CV. And these people keep on disappointing companies, and there's like a high staff turnover, like just absolute disappointing performance on the job. At some point, that same recruitment agent is going to remember that rusted woman, the one that she interviewed and who she did not recommend to the company because she is rusted. You will reconsider sending her for an interview in that company that is sick and tired of you sending them lackluster talent. It's what I'm getting at. These witches teeming at the folds all over South Africa flying have taken jobs from skilled professionals in the nation, and they have put CVs like mine. They have put gaps in CVs like mine in like 10 whole years. And so the industries out there are calling us rusted. But people are disappointing on the job. That's what I'm getting at. Creative agencies have got to feed their staff members drugs in order to make them continue to be creative. With that level of high staff turnover in corporate South Africa, eventually, after enough people get turned back, or enough people are fired or quit their jobs or have to leave their jobs quickly before they get fired because they've been that underperforming, eventually recruitment agencies are going to be like, are you prepared to see a person that has not worked for 3 years? And much to their surprise, bosses are going to be like, let's see them, let's see. And these individuals who have got 3, 4, 5 year gaps in their CV, 10 years, like in my case, or 1 year, 3 months, like the rusted lady, they will be pleasantly surprising and therefore eventually recruited. Man, oh man, I wish I had one of those phones, one of those cars, that have a USB charger on the inside, because, this charging, like how much time I have to wait for the phone to charge, and it's like I insist on recording inside the car. Anyway, let's just get straight to the point. I want this to be the last leg, because I'm not trying to go back inside and charge the phone. Again, yes, I was speaking about how it is that this whole situation has made me realize that God was doing something else that I was not aware was to happen. I had essentially written off the prospect of going back into corporate South Africa, but because of how many blockages I have endured at the hands of social media, and me being unable to make money from online streams of income. Where's that glare coming from? I need to eliminate it. With me being unable to make money from online streams of income, I have realized, like, I don't even know why it took so much for me to come to that realization, because it should have been one of the things that I considered, but I've just had so many barriers to entry and chocker blockages slapping the living daylights out of me, even from an attempt to return to corporate South Africa before I have. And guys, I've sent my CV. I have been hurt so much by recruitment agents who would call me for an interview, and then they would like completely ghost me afterwards. When then I would call them, they would act like I was this tick, this bug, this thing that's annoying. One of them even went out of her way to essentially offend me, like insult me, vocally, like she vocalized it, and it really broke my heart. So I've just been hurt a lot. I have not had access to actual companies. I've only ever hit brick walls at recruitment agents, and these recruitment agencies refused to recommend me to companies because of the gap at that stage on my CV. I would only have like 6 months, a year, 2 years of a gap, and they ignored me at 2 years. So I told myself that if at all, when I only had 1 year gap, 2 years gap in my CV, and I was completely ignored or mistreated by recruitment agents, how much worse is it going to be than with a 10-year gap on my CV? Until this afternoon, I realized that there are women, and this was the most especially encouraging portion of it all, women that have gone back to work after choosing to be stay-at-home moms, homemakers and whatnot, and they were able to reignite their careers. I was like, I would be no different from such a woman as that, who would leave her career at the age of 30 and then decide that she wants to work again at 40. It's happened, and they don't have to start from scratch. Not only that, this thing that's happened with my family member has made me realize that I've just written myself off, okay? I realize that there are people who are going to be willing to listen to me. I've just written myself off. And also, the thing that has made me essentially be bereft of any opportunities the past year, 10 years, has been recruitment agencies. They've been standing between me and prospective employers. Employers are the ones that are going to put warm bodies and chairs in their companies, that decide to trust somebody to hit the ground running in their company. Okay, yeah, and so therefore, they're the ones that I need to talk to. I just need to lean on either a company that puts a post or whatever, like a vacancy on PNet or T-Junction or Career Junction or what do you call this? LinkedIn. I'm not on LinkedIn and I'm not about to go on there, but you get my point. Directly themselves as a company, or a company that has an internal recruitment team instead of just like a recruitment agency type thing. I just need to try and find those people to basically have no middleman. I need to go past the middleman because, look, this is what's good, all right? Recruiters, I am pretty certain, are exhausted. They are. Just from hearing the story that my mom was telling about people being fed drugs at a marketing firm in order for them to be creative, it tells me that if at all companies can hire somebody that is organically creative instead of one that is made creative through drugs, then they will run for that. I feel as if South Africa has suffered such a severe skills exodus, and they have suffered because especially ever since COVID, and ever since, not only were we slapped silly by coronavirus, but the whole world was, but we were also we are slapped silly by power cuts. Innovation, people are in dire need of it, coupled with the fact that a lot of people have been displaced by coronavirus, right, from careers. Like during that season, the global economies suffered, and a lot of people were made to sit at home because of those global economies suffering. A lot of them now have to be recruited back into corporate, so there are more people with gaps in their CVs than there were prior to COVID-19. Essentially what I'm trying to explain right now is that I am able to get given an opportunity now in a way that 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that wasn't a thing. First of all, South Africa has bled. It's been suffering like no man's business. I believe they've learned their lesson. Plus, these witches that are flying all over the show sabotaging, they're not the best at their jobs. That's what I'm getting at. They have sabotaged the lives and the careers of people who were better than them. And the economy has suffered as a result. The economy of the country has suffered as a result. Truly skilled people, therefore, everybody is in dire need of them. It is a travesty what is going on the part of the South African economy, but it's not going to recover unless the right people are reinvested in it. Like I said earlier, for as long as we are yet to be in the Great Tribulation, we as Christians will always have somebody willing to listen, especially when we are living in countries that are free, democratic, with religious liberties being a thing. There will always be somebody willing to listen to us. Sure, so just because people have not been listening to you for 10 years or for 5 or for 7 does not mean nobody's going to be ever willing to listen to you. That is the epiphany that I happened upon. This whole thing that has happened with my family member has made me realize that I need to try again in corporate South Africa. The gap is 10 years big. It's yawning, alright? It's wide. But I am going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to put my CV back on PNet, Career Junction, wherever it is that is a career website that I can find. And I'm going to actively apply for a job like the good old-fashioned days. I am going to apply and apply and apply. Every week I will check again and apply until such time that somebody calls me. Somebody must call me. Why wouldn't they? The reason I say that is because God showed me it's time. Somebody needs my skills. And I do believe that largely where I will be adored is where it is that people are tired, or an individual is tired of just the staff turnover, in and out, basically bringing somebody on board on contract that keeps on dropping the ball, and they need someone that is reliable. I feel as if though I am fit for purpose proper to be able to fill that slot. I was never supposed to work for my family member to be plundered, looted, with limited recognition of my skills, because all along they've not been wanting to acknowledge me. I was supposed to go and help someone that needs the help. Somebody that basically is bordering on feeding drugs to his creative team, that creative team might create. And realize that what is the point of getting people fresh out of university or whatever, or fresh out of another company, only for me to have to feed them, like I said, performance-enhancing drugs for them to do well, when there is a person that is perfectly fit for purpose to do this. Top of that, because I've been out of the market for as long as I have been, I am essentially, unfortunately, and quite uncomfortably too, cheap, okay? I am cheap, but my cheap is still sufficient to cover important things that I need in life. I am still cheap labor for the level of skill that I am in comparison to most people. And given the suffering nature of our economy at present, how cheap I come, and I should not be cheap, but I am, okay, will then give me an advantage for being hired by especially startup firms. And for me, a startup company is important because the individual in question has a vested interest in their company doing really well, and so they're not going to give me grief. They are not going to be petty. They are not going to allow themselves to thrive on jealousy, because whatever hand of help that they can get, they will run with it. If at all you've got somebody really good, really skilled, helping you along to grow your company, your own startup, you are not going to be concentrating on their wig. You're not going to be concentrating on their lipstick. You're not going to be concentrating on how much more well-spoken than you they are. You're not going to be concentrating on how articulate, proper. You are not competing for the attention of a boss. You are the boss, and you want your company to get as far as it can get. So people who tend to be trying to thrive, something of that nature, are the least afflicting bosses in the world, because they have a vested interest in growing their own company. So I sort of kind of realized that God is likely trying to set me up in a small firm, the owner of which needs somebody that is a jack of all trades, master of many of them, that is going to enable them girthy, thick, to grow. Do you understand? And this individual will then, this individual will then be able to get what it is that they know, reliable, like the need of a reliable resource is what under heaven we're looking at over here. Somebody that's going to be reliable, and somebody that is also highly unlikely going to be going anywhere, any minute now, that can help a person with a startup really just kind of get to where they need to get. And right next to it, I'm gaining the kinds of skills I need. I have the leadership that I need. I have the job satisfaction that I need. I might not have the amount of money, frankly, that I would have been earning as at this stage, but I am gaining the right kind of experience. I'm not pushing paper. I'm not doing admin. I am in business development. Essentially, I am helping a man or a woman build an empire. I am gaining business development type skills, management consulting type skills, without, however, the requisite appropriate salary. And that is the kind of stuff that can springboard me to the kind of salary that I need, because now I have this in my back pocket. It's what I have come to happen upon, what I've realized. And in terms of finding opportunities like this, I don't even know where to start. But bottom line is this: I'm putting my CV back out on the market again. And I'm going to throw it out there, like casting my bread upon many waters, and trusting that the right kind of firm, the person that is going to need me, that is not going to give me jealous grief, will then call me back. Of course, I'm not going to apply only to basically startup firms, or I'm just going to basically apply for jobs that I feel are fit and proper for my kind of skills level. I will, of course, I'm going to experiment with trying to see if I can't be rehired as a project manager again. But I'm going to be broadening my horizons in terms of what kinds of jobs I apply for, trusting that because of the girth of experience that I have across multiple industries, that I might be considered by these companies, even if it's not for the position of project manager, but something else inside that same company, or inside that same organization, that little firm, whatever's going on. And so therefore end up working for a neutral boss, somebody that does not know about my social media presence, somebody with whom, of course, I will be honest as to what happened with me. I'm never ever dishonest. I'm always speaking truth about what happened to me. I don't hide what happened at MTN because I'm completely innocent. Like, I lost my case at the CCMA, I was done dirty, all that jazz, I explain, and what have you. And if somebody's willing to bring me on board in their books, even on contract, then that's a start. But bottom line is this: I'm not going to be pushing paper for somebody that is insisting on keeping me lowly. I'm not going to be doing that. But I've got to hurry on up with this. I gotta get, hit the ground running. I gotta hurry. Why? Because I'm ghosted as at present by this family member because of what's presently happening. And I don't know how long they're gonna ghost me for. Even if they do, even if this woman eventually hires me, do you understand? As an administrator, bottom line is I am actively trying. Because I can't reject her job. That much is a fact. I can't reject it. But by the time I upload this particular content, if at all I do upload it, I need to have been successfully interviewed for the job that I am presently speaking about right now. What it is that this individual started, this family member, I believe that what God was doing with that was to cause me to try again with applying for jobs. And I am praying to the Lord feverishly for an employment opportunity in a space where somebody that is building a business, needs a reliable 2IC, like a reliable, like basically like a reliable, not so much like an assistant, somebody that is going to help them build their business, somebody that has a plethora of skills that can help them build their business. And so within my job role, I'm going to be sourcing, I am going to be project managing, I am going to be management consulting, I am going to be change managing, I am going to be helping with recruitment, I am going to be talent managing, I am going to be doing a plethora of things because this individual will appreciate what I can bring to the party. The usage of all the skills I have ever acquired, I'm going to be training all the skills that I've ever acquired, but of course within a very jam-packed, cramped up, one single position. It's about acquisition of skills here. It is about gaining the right, appropriate type of skills. It's about job satisfaction, and the money is something we will talk about later. Insofar as I have got crankat man. Yeah, it's about what is this? Gaining the right kind of job satisfaction. I don't want menial tasks. Admin, goodness, that's gonna eat me whole. Like, I do not care about how much I'm earning, even though really give me money, okay, like don't give me something that is not going to give me basic things that I need, right? But like what I'm more intrigued by at present is the actual job. Like I want a role or a function that is going to I've even like one interview that my family members set me up with was somebody that was again trying to juice me for admin scraps. I highlighted it to them that seeing as you're trying to start a marketing department from scratch, I'm the person for you because I can help you source talent, I can help you business develop, I can help you change manage, I can help you with and this person just looked at me like it's daunted on some I don't know, and you see spirits of competition and all those, like they came in, but a person that is starting up their business and they have a vested interest in making it work and making it succeed, and they don't have time to basically run with nothing but jealousy, they are going to get over whatever issues or sentiments they might have with me. They will merely appreciate the work that I am putting in to help their businesses grow. The thing that they get is a reliable resource on the right, and on the left what I get is the kind of experience that I need and something that would give me true job satisfaction, even if the money is not quite there yet. You all know. Well, maybe not. If you don't know, then I'll tell you. Okay, motivation, theories of motivation. Money is not a motivator. Money is not a motivator. So it at this point is sort of kind of low-key irrelevant if I'm making 100,000 rands a month. That does not matter. What's important is that I get the kind of job and the kind of be able to utilize my skills in an environment that is cultivating my gifting and enabling me to use it. A place where it is that I can basically just be what it is that I am. When I don't get properly paid, I understand that the reward will later follow. That is the kind of space that I imagine God is trying to put me in. So when he says it's time, I mean, guys, I've amassed for myself a plethora of skills underground through my entrepreneurial endeavors that have failed. It's not like I've been sitting gathering dust, rusting, like the word that was utilized concerning that other woman's CV that was only 15 minutes in the vortex, and yet she was called rusting. I have not been rusting for a decade. I have been acquiring skills, just unappreciated and unsung. Granted that it was granted that they were within an entrepreneurial space. Okay, like I was trying to boost myself, but then I got sabotaged. My prayer is that some new entrepreneur in these streets trying to grow their business in whatever industry would see the value in bringing me on board and recognize as well that the 10-year gap in my CV is frankly quite beneficial for them because it makes me a cheap business developer. It makes me cheap. It makes my skill affordable for someone that's starting a new company. That's what I'm gunning for. That's what I actually prayed for years ago to God. And I feel as if though now is the time when God is going to open that avenue, but I will never ever have any. I was actually watching a short by a brother in Christ by the name of Obina Edimoju, God-backed guy. Yeah, he was doing a short about basically being on his knees praying to God for a job. And then the angels of God laughing at him on this guy, but you already gave him a job. You already set him up. If anything, there's been 10 opportunities availed for him, but the dude is like in his house, just praying. Every day, God, give me a job, waiting for the job to come to him. Essentially what the purpose of that short, the moral of the story behind that short was that you ask God for a job, very well. Now go out there and apply for jobs and watch the Lord then bring the bread back after many days. Cast your bread upon many waters, and after many days it will return back to you. So mine is to go and cast my CV out on the market and trust that it will return to me after hopefully not many days, but a few. The situation with my family member, it's not giving. It's already Wednesday. Wednesday's come and gone. It's night time now. She is quiet. She has ghosted me. The stuff that has happened, the Lord has been communicating what's going down. Spiritually, it's not going to end well. This video, I cannot put it online, of course, on nothing but assumption and presupposition. I have to have solid backing. So by the time this video goes up, I will already have another job. I will. I cannot put such content out before I get a job because they're going to come at me. Remember, they're attacking my, what do you call this? My ministry. I have to keep on uploading stuff online that looks as if though I'm still waiting for my opportunity to be availed. But when I finally get a call to get the interview, I will let you guys know, but then I won't share it online so quickly. And then when I have the job, that's when I will put this video online on some I've already got a job. And if I've already got the job, ain't no family member of mine gonna come at me with a boot print trying to pressurize me into walking away from my ministry. Ain't nobody gonna come at me trying to basically be like, you're gonna get a job only if all these like terms and conditions and fine print, they're no longer going to apply to me. Basically, I am going to have a girth and a strength to be able to stand on my human rights as a South African citizen. I am going to be able to quote my constitutional liberties to religion, and me, therefore, in my also freedom of expression, speak. I'm going to be able to be like, look, fine, so I'm still living on your property. I reside here. We will admit that, but I've got a job. Here's my salary. Here's my offer. Any minute now I could move out. You all are no longer in control of me or my ministry. Thank you, however, for the ignition into this particular sphere of new developments. Because if it was not for all of the pressure, all of the persecution of my person, if it was not for all of y'all dubaring me like dough, if it was not for you flattening me to the ground, making me cry, if it was not for you trying to control the narrative of how my life eventually unfolds, I would not have realized that God was boosting me, jolting me like jumper cables to, do you understand, essentially send myself back out in the market again. I don't need people to spoon feed me. I've never needed it. All throughout my life, with all of the challenges I have faced, I've been the one to get myself out of hot water. I've been the one to apply for my own jobs. I've been the one to do well in my own interviews. And I have also been the one to get promoted of my own volition and of my own hard work, therefore being seen by another person to then elevate me to another place. I've never needed anybody to call in a favor for me. Literally, it's never happened before. It's never happened before where I got, like a huge jolted job promotion because somebody pulled in a favor for me or spoke in for me. I've often displayed or proved myself before complete strangers that then came to agree that I was worth their while. There's only one time in my life where it is that I have been set up with a job. It was through my mom. And in that company, because I came in via nepotism, I was underestimated from the get-go. And I also got sabotaged by some random employee there until I left and moved to MTN. One time in my life. The rest of my career, where it is that I was jolted, catapulted, put on a trampoline to skyrocket into the outer space like Buzz Lightyear, the rest of such experiences were all me. It was all me. No, correction. It was God. The Lord has always been by my side even before I got born again. But what I'm trying to explain is that the volition behind my success has always been me and God, and that only. There's never been anybody that pulled in a favor for me. Why would that suddenly change? And why would the people who are pulling in favors for me be also those who put me in a position to need favors pulled? Rugs were pulled from underneath my feet. My family betrayed me. They are now trying to reestablish me in some kind of a whatever profession or career, and they are still trying to control me. Problematic. I'm gonna go looking for my own job. That's what I'm getting at. I'm seeing that now. That is my epiphany. That's what I'm getting at. That's the happenopponence. If that's even a word, I innovated it so it gets to be a word. Alright? My happenopponence, the thing that I happened upon was that I was supposed to apply for a job by myself. That's what I happened upon. What I happened upon was that I was supposed to go in, like this morning I woke up with that as a thing. But you see, laziness, and never mind laziness, just past hurt, trauma. Trauma will make you be like, hey son, no, this is not gonna work. Throughout these past years, I have refashioned, remodeled, reignited, brought it down to the ground again, stitched it up, sutured it, unraveled it again, my CV, okay? And I have put it online, and then I have panel beaten it there too. I have uploaded profile pictures and brought them down thinking that maybe my smile is inappropriate. I have done all different kinds of things thinking people are ignoring me because of something I am doing. As a result of all of these multiple iterations of attempts at getting recruited by somebody out there in these streets, I have, of course, developed now a low confidence. a little bit of a self-doubt, where it is that I feel as if though, what's the point? Even if I'm smiling or I'm plain-faced in a profile pic on a CV, ain't nobody gonna look at me because I'm cursed, or God is doing a thing, whatever. I've just basically just been very flattened. Yeah. It therefore is very annoying and daunting for me to have to go into Career Junction again because I forgot even my login credentials. I'm starting from scratch, so I'm not just updating an existing profile. Yeah. For me to go into Career Junction or PNet or whatever, or Career Jet, I could say what might be the site. Yeah, and you know how those sites are so annoying, right? You will have your CV uploaded, but they will still insist that you literally manually type in all of your skills, all of your, just having to redo that again is daunting and taxing. And this morning I woke up with the idea already. The epiphany was all up in my bones this morning. And I stood up in bed and I looked at my computer and I went into PNet. I went into PNet. And just the fact that I had to now restart my profile from scratch again, typing in my ID number. No, I'm not disabled. No, yes, I'm not willing to relocate. Blah, blah. I was just like, I wanted to drop the ball. But then I remembered Obina's short. Christians, the work that they do, y'all don't underestimate how much you can influence another believer across the world, okay? I remembered Obina's short from last night, where it is that he was praying to God, God, please give me a job, and then he sits around in his home waiting for the job to come to him. I remembered Obina's short, and I believe God brought Obina's short up to my memory, and he was basically like, you want a job, right? You want to get out, you want to escape the licentious men, the afflictions on your person by perversity, the witchcraft attacks. Honey, if you want a job, I'll give you one. It's time, but you gotta apply. So go put your profile on PNet. Go put your profile on Career Junction. Yes, you've got a 10-year gap in your CV, but I've given you the gift of the gap. You'll explain it away, and I will move in the heart of whoever it is that is going to hire you to give you a call at all, to give you an interview at all. I will inspire people to give you an interview at all. And once they see you, they're not going to be able to turn back. The very same streak of success that you had historically is coming back to you, my daughter. Okay? Back in the day, you would walk into an interview underestimated because of how little experience you had, and you would get out of there with a job basically stamped guaranteed on your back. Hired. Why? Because you were able to convince people to bring you on board. Remember my benefits. Remember what I did for you back then. All you need to do is study for your interview. All you need to do is prepare. All you need to do is be ready, and all you need to do is cast your bread upon many waters. I will do the rest. I will move in the heart of kings and queens to consider you. I will move in the hearts of recruitment agents to forward your CV. I will move in the hearts of companies to see you despite being apprehensive about your 10-year gap. I will move in their hearts. You must just go and cast your bread upon many waters. And so that's what I'm going to do. This thing that happened with my family member was a means to an end. It was a transitory phase. It was a trajectory plan. It was God essentially putting booster cables on my dead battery. He was showing me that try again. And so I'm going to do just that. And my prayer is that the results of my fresh attempt will be quickly, experienced due to the fact that I don't have time. I don't ever want to end up working for my company's firm. Not my company, but my cousin's firm. I don't want to work there. I don't want to work in the same space as people who have been naysaying me. I don't want to ever have to get to a point where I'm now accepting the job proposal. Even the interview was remote, if you will believe that. It was remote. It was virtual, right? I never ever want to set foot there, not because I hate the company, but because I don't want to work anywhere where any of my family members are at. And for my friends, I just want a fresh start. And I don't want to have people persecuting me with an old narrative and people who know what I've been through for 10 years. All that needs to be known is that I've been unemployed for 10 years and it sucked. And I will explain what in the world I tried to do in 10 years to basically keep myself relevant. But that's all that my prospective employer needs to know. They don't need to understand the sorrow of my soul and how it is that I've just been dragged to the mud. They just need to hire somebody that is going to work hard and that is going to be appreciated, gather a salary, and impress a boss, help a person along with their agenda, be beneficial, and that's it. And with me having a job, I'm then going to be safe from the eyes of prying men, horrible perversities in these streets, attempts at unequal yoking, witches being all up in my... Look, I just need a job, okay? I realized that I need to go back to corporate South Africa. I had written it off, but God is the one that's reignited it, and that, I believe, is the reason why this whole thing had to happen. But I cannot share this video until I have a job. So essentially, by the time I record this video, but I upload. By the time I upload this video, I am going to have successfully achieved this feat. I am going to have successfully achieved what it is that I spoke in this video. Yeah, the moral of this story is that the tribulation is not yet here, you guys. So as Christians, we have to keep on trying. There will always be a Pharaoh for Joseph. There will always be a Darius for Daniel. There will always be a Nebuchadnezzar for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. There will always be a king that, albeit having initially been kind of apprehensive about God's people, once the Lord shows himself as the one true God to these kings, they will change their hearts towards you. There will always be a Xerxes for Mordecai. Okay, a king that's going to ultimately have respect and regard for a Jew, even though he is a pagan king, even though he is a Persian king. There will always be somebody there available for the cause of the saint. Only one time in history exists where it is that Christians are completely ignored and the whole world is essentially shunning us. It's the tribulation. Before we get there, do not ever give up on living. Do not ever give up on, yes, the world can persecute you, they can revile you, but there will always be somewhere to flee. There will always be somewhere to run. You will always be able to move to another province, another village, another city, another town, maybe the next door neighbor, the street opposite. There will always be somewhere to land your feet prior to the tribulation, okay? It might be in your very own country, your own neighborhood, but in the worst case scenario, it might be on a different continent or different country altogether, but there will always be somewhere for disciples who are persecuted to flee before the tribulation. Don't ever throw in the towel. Don't second guess what God is doing for you. Joseph was in a foreign land as a prisoner, having initially started out as a slave. There was no way anybody was going to give him any favor, even in the slightest, but he had something special that no one else had. He had an ability to interpret dreams, he had a relationship with God, and he was the only person that could help Pharaoh along, and God was the one that mobilized such things as those. God did that, and praying in tongues, you guys, helped me get to that conclusion. So those of you that have written off tongues, I would implore you to reconsider, because all this revelation came because of tongues. It is because of praying all night long. Last night I was a bobblehead around 11:30, going on 12 p.m. at night, right? And I prayed it through, and I only slept at like 3:30 in the morning because I was severely demonically attacked. And in the morning I woke up with this fresh, sparkly revelation. Okay, I've been enduring a severity of spiritual war the past 3 days because of me getting rebuked for doing the work of God, and sharing, apparently, like, allegedly speaking too soon by my family members by uploading my testimony on YouTube. And I came here and I lamented, and I did not get a break from even those videos until now. Only now am I feeling like I'm on to something. And all that happened because of ceaseless praying that cannot possibly be just mere inaudible, incomprehensible mumblings of nothing at all. Like, if I was not truly praying, I would not have gained all that revelation. Plus, I'd be in a lot of trouble, guys. A person that is suffering as badly as I'm suffering, if they don't pray, they're done for. Do you understand? Prayer not only strengthens our relationship with God, but it wards off lots and lots of darkness. The majority of my prayers are in tongues. Every so often, yes, I do pray in English or Tswana or whatever might be the language in question, but largely I pray in tongues, you guys. And for 10 years of suffering, me praying in tongues has borne this kind of fruit for me. Basically, I've become more than a conqueror. I've overcome suicide. I've overcome so many feats. I have had bonds loosed, chains loosed from my pain, from my chest, that were basically inducing so much despair and suicide ideation that I felt like I was gonna die. And because of praying in tongues all night, I wake up in the morning feeling right as rain, feeling a lot better. I have overwhelmed demonic structures from here to Timbuktu. Do you understand? By simply praying in tongues. So yes, there is such a thing as a heavenly language. There is such a thing as a prayer language that you have just between you and God, that you can embark on all night long, and it really helps you to successfully obey the scriptures where it is written that pray without ceasing. It's hard to pray without ceasing in English or whatever your language might be, but it is made so much easier when you are doing it in tongues, in a language that you don't understand. Plus, they're so supernatural that you just keep on praying even when you are not fast asleep, but dozing off, which is what I've experienced. All that tongues praying has enabled me, you guys, without joke here. I'm not kidding with you. I promise you right this moment. it has given me all this revelation. The work that I come and I deliver here is because of what God shows me when I'm slapping in the middle of tongues, and I only ever break out of severe demonic attack and sleepiness and exhaustion of my body because of all night praying in tongues or all day praying in tongues. It is a real deal. So I would implore any Christian at all that does not yet have the gift of praying in tongues to ask the Lord for it, to enable your prayer life to be that much more fluid, for the yoke of praying in tongues to be that much easier, and for its burden to be that much lighter. It makes it a lot easier to pray. A lot easier to pray, because especially because you are praying that which you don't know you're doing. The devil comes at us with a flying kick like a flood. God raises a standard, and tongues are some of that standard. Granted that sometimes we don't know what to pray for. The Spirit prays with groanings that are too deep for us to understand. We sometimes don't know what is coming at us. This family member of mine, I would never have been able to understand or comprehend what she was attempting to achieve if it was not for tongues, y'all. If it was not for the prayer language, if it was not for praying in tongues, I also would not have succeeded to stay up all night, up until 8 a.m. for 2 nights in a row. Okay, basically praying against the strategy that I imagined she was coming with, and this is the fruit that it has borne. It's broken my heart, okay, because it hurts to always have essentially enemies apprehended. But what is also true is that it gave me the rather thing that I needed to experience here. God protected me from ending up working in an environment that didn't make sense, but he also gave me a way out. Tongues did that for me, y'all. Tongues did that for me. Tongues opened up my eyes, and tongues also helped me overcome so much severity of demonic attack, witchcraft, that I would basically be buried under it. Plus, my prayers in tongues also caused the kingdom of darkness so much fear, and so much war with me, that they saw it fit to constantly keep on trying to make me fall asleep when I'm busy trying to pray in tongues all night long, proving that there is something about them that makes them insist that we sleep instead of do it. So I would really greatly encourage those who don't believe in tongues to get all up in that, because y'all, the days are evil, and there is no conquering them without prayer. And there is no staying sharp and alert in prayer all night and all day without having a language that you don't understand, because then it's going to be too daunting to keep it all up in English or Tswana. That's what I'm getting at. That is my solution. That is what I'm going to do. I really do want to sign out all up in this particular girl because I don't have any more battery power. I do feel like I've covered all the bases, everything I need to say. But the moral of this particular story, you guys, is that the Lord will always protect you. Don't lean on your own understanding. When you can sense that something does not make sense, pray about it. If it's hard to pray, pray in tongues. And ultimately, God will be the one to basically take up your cause for you. He will defend you against that which is impossible to defend against. My mom would have come at me like a ton of bricks if I had rejected this job, but I'm not the one rejecting it. She's the one that's ghosting me, this family member. And on top of that, she's the one that's refusing to give me an opportunity that is better for me. But with it too, I've come to realize that I am to go and grab opportunities myself. Wait on God, and he got you. Like, he got you, you guys. The Lord got you. This is not going to end well for the kingdom of darkness, but it will certainly be a guaranteed victory for you. Let's wait and see what happens. I will certainly be in touch. I will be in contact. I will let you know how this is going. But tonight I'm going to be spending the evening populating Career Junction and PNet and applying for jobs, and I will keep doing that until I finally have one. I will let you know how it goes. That's all I'm going to say. I am signing out in the name of Jesus Christ, Grand Care. I hope you've been edified. Peace.